Alright, so we're filling up a bucket. So the water source of this bucket isn't just that hose. It is that hose. But from that hose, it's coming down here from this reservoir, aka a brute 44 gallon trash can. Brute depot. That's the kind of trash can that is. That's being used as a reservoir. So the same water line that's pumping water through this little guy, this little spout, is the same water line that supplies the rest of the fish corner. Talking about those blue lines. See? Anything that's a blue line like that, that's going to be a water sourced out of this guy. This guy is going to be your standard issue 44 gallon brute trash can. I don't know what that translates into Dutch, but as you can see, it's running a bit low. I have a small little water pump, air pump, pumping air. It's not enough. I need a bigger air pump than that. That water pump with the black tubing and a brown fitting on the bottom can be shut off through there. And is this T here. So it goes in one of two directions. It goes this way, can be shut off that way. Then it goes this way, can be shut off that way. Right now it's not pumping anything. All it's doing right now is putting stress, unnecessary stress on that motor. Right now it's set to pump this. As I release this, I heard water release that way. So something's gaining water. I don't know which one it is. So that pump that's sitting there obviously is plugged into a wall socket. European standard or metric, it doesn't matter. It needs electricity to work. And that electricity source, it's coming out of here. Right now it's off. So in the event to where I need to pump water, whether it be into an aquarium or to this water source, it doesn't go to anything. This is actually another project, but I'm kind of glad I have this here for me to use. Because right now this water that's in this bucket is going to be used for tanks that I have elsewhere. But if I ever need water that's been dechlorinated and aged a couple days, I can get it out of here. So all I gotta do is open up this valve, turn the pump on. Excuse me. And now, hold on, check it out. This is smooth away. See, it's off. Oh, it's on. It's off. No, it's on. Okay. Now, I don't necessarily need to age my water. I could just pump the water into here. This is the water source to the water reservoir. I could pump the water into here. Or, well, what I do is I pump the water into here, add the dechlorinator, and by the end of the week, throughout the week, I go ahead and refill a tank or so, or the next week, as needed. Yes, it does add extra moisture to the environment, but meanwhile, that's not my concern. It was my concern when I set this up, but the purpose of setting this up took priority over, that risk and measure. So I want this water to be able to breed fish. There's fish that are breeding in here. Right? Okay, that's a horrible example. They're coming up. See, that started out with a quad. No, a trio. A trio of Gutude. Now there's I don't know. There's a lot of fish. There's a lot of them in there now. So this same water source waters up, feeds water to these guys here. This one went all bad. All that's left here as far as gills is going to be this one little guppy, which is going to be combined with a few other guppies and placed elsewhere. These right here is the offspring of these Gutude down here. By the offspring, I mean the original trio. So this tank here grew a lot of hair algae. All that was covered in hair algae. It grew all that hair algae over all of this. There was very little swimming room for the fish because all this here was covered in hair algae. I took it out, placed it in this tank, and we got these little guys, these little life forms here swimming around, all happy and whatnot. They made it. Congratulations, guys, you made it. All you gotta do is enjoy your food and do what nature intended for you to do. You know what I'm saying? And and I'll do my best to provide with the adequate home. Adequate as in like luxurious. So this hair algae in here is about 3 weeks going on 4. I'll probably give it to round it over the 4-week mark before I take it out and toss it into a scud tank. So the hair algae, the hair algae in here came out of here. Some more hair algae out of there came out of there and was placed into here. And there's a few other Gutude. Living the best life. They don't know and they don't know any otherwise. So the idea here is going to be to mirror what's going on over there. At about the 4-week mark, this hair algae is going to be taken out, placed into another tank with scuds. And what's going to go into these tanks is going to be the cuttings of this Java moss. Now, this tank here is going to be dedicated to the Gutude. And I'm about to correct myself. So with that being said, this tank here is going over there. But this Java moss is not going in that tank. This Java moss is going into a tank that is going to go over here in this little setup. And that tank is going to be used to try to breed out these try and breed out these long fin white clouds. Harvest them was the word I was looking for. There's another white cloud in here in the medicine tank. Not medicine tank, but the isolation tank with the rice fish. So it's not that isolated, but it's isolated-ish. So I may lose a few of eggs that were placed over here on this Java moss to these white clouds eating them. I may not. I may lose some fry. I may not. We'll see. But right now the idea is to produce longfin white clouds, and that's taking priority over the Gutude eggs that may be placed in the Java moss. Okay? So there's going to be something like a 10-gallon right here with this Java moss, those longfin white clouds, inside a 10-gallon over here. There may be 2 tanks dedicated to those longfin white clouds. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, this whole rack right here is going to be dedicated to that 40-gallon breeder. Alright? Meaning they're all going to be the same system. So this tank itself is going to be brought over to where this tank is at. This tank is going outside. This tank is where I'm at right now. And you know what? I think this tank is going outside. This tank is going to go outside. So which means is we're going to have this 40-gallon breeder with this tank sticking around. Once the month or so mark passes. Ooh, the light just turned off. That's my security system. Hold on. Everything's timed up into there. And then that goes into here, and everything goes into there. So once the 4-month mark passes on this tank, I'm gonna take this hair algae, like I had mentioned, and place it into the scud tank. And inside this tank, I'm going to place some mops, and then inside this tank, I'm going to place some mops. Let the mops hatch out into this tank. Meanwhile, this tank is not going to have that hair algae. That hair algae is going to be in scud tanks. The mops are going to be placed in this tank, and this tank itself is going to be placed over here in this tank. This tank is going to be vacant. Not this tank, but this slot's going to be vacant. This tank's going outside. Parents are going to be going. These rice fish parents are going to be going on this top shelf. Same thing is going to be going on with the mops. It's going to go from that tank to a mop tank, another tank at some point or whatever. And then that's going to be the trading tank. I'm going to trade the rice fish out of this tank, just like I plan on trading the Gutude out of this tank. So the parent Gutude will probably be in here. And the here will be where they spawn. Right here will probably be some backup spawners. And once they spawn in here and get up to a mature age, they'll be placed in here. In the community Gutude tank. And the same idea is going to be for these rice fish. There's going to be a 10-gallon right here of rice fish. The mop's going to be taken out of here. Once they spawn, the ones that I choose to breed over are going to be over here. And then they're going to be traded out of this 20-gallon long tank. And I'm planning on using I'm planning on testing water lettuce as spawning mops. See how that goes. It grows pretty fast, I'll tell you that much. So down here we have these long fin white clouds, and it's going to be the same thing pretty much. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to take the excess Java moss from this tank. Place it into the longfin white clouds tank. Let them breed up. Give them a couple weeks. Maybe place them in another tank. And then colony breed them. Meanwhile, I have this one in the original tank hatching out. Over here on the top, I gotta be honest with you, I have some decisions to make. I have some decisions to make as I have some decisions to make over here. Because over here I have my pygmy sunfish, they're not going nowhere, so that decision is made. But I have this tank, and you know what? I think the decision's already made. I think this tank is going to be a rainbow shiner tank. You know what? For them being so easy to breed, and here and there, they should be a little more common. Like common as in like I don't know, man. I think they should be common like a neon tetra. Those rainbow shiners, like, because they're pretty cool. Neon tetras are cool. Neon cardinal tetras are cool. But those neon tetras, they're cool too. But those rainbow shiners, I think they should be a part of the hobby, like somebody's first tank. You know what I mean? Like somebody's first tank right now is going to be a neon tetra tank, a glow Daniel whatever tank. Going to be a black light, something like that. Um, but I would like to see somebody's first fish tank be something like a 29 gallon, 20 gallon long, 20-gallon tall, and then some water lettuce, and have the light above the thing to where you can view the light you can view the tank from the top. Maybe not with the duckweed, but you can view the tank from the top. Remove water lettuce as need be. Meanwhile, the fish that should be easy to get, that could be easy to get, would be a native fish. But check this out: if all of a sudden everybody's buying native fish and nobody wants to buy imported fish, then it's going to come down to supply and demand. What if they don't want the imported fish? Maybe they don't collect it. Maybe you get a gap in the market. At that point, I don't know, maybe you're going to have the house breeders, they're going to have the hobbyists that want to breed neon tetras, all of a sudden having an outlet to, trade the neon tetras to source, to the local fish store. Not everybody's going to do it, but some people will. And as long as you have that one person, helping out so many others, then you're going to have, some newbies in the hobby because they're going to have a neon tetra that's easy to keep. Meanwhile, you're going to have other people getting a rainbow shiners. At that point, it's the matter of fish stores and what they want to sell, how they want to promote it. And I think it's just a matter of somebody deciding how much of this hobby is going to take up a part of their life. Like you have a person who's a dog owner, they get a dog, they put the dog in the kennel, the dog comes out once in a while, it's happy to be out, they put pictures of how happy the dog is. Meanwhile, it's like, yeah, of course the dog's happy because it never gets out. And then when it is out, it's grateful to be out because he knows what will happen if it acts up. So this isn't to those kind of people. This is to not those kind of people, but this isn't to those kind of owner. This is going to be to the person who has a dog and considers it a part of family, and would like to see that sucker reproduced. Anyways. So now that the water source has filled this up, I'm going to go ahead and get this guy and fill up the scud tanks that I have in the back. Alright guys, take care. And that's basically how I get the water to my tanks. I flip that switch on. Activate this pump. This reservoir needs to be cleaned out. Activate that pump. It sends the water out to the tanks. If there's a situation to where the tank overfills, this float valve will prevent that from happening. You understand? If there's a tank to where there's a situation with the float valve to where it's not working to my likings, I can go ahead and turn and close the valve at any tank. Because any tank situated with the float valve is going to have a cutoff valve. That's the way they all are. That's just the way they're designed. Now now every tank here has one of those. As far as the water delivery system goes, it's going to be the 1/4-inch reverse osmosis tubing. Now plumbed into that, I have this guy here in case I ever need some dechlorinated water, which I do in this case for some scud tanks that are outside. I'm going to go put this water in the scud tanks. Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in. Take care. Peace out.